The basket weighs nothing. That's what scares Thomas most. 3 pounds of baby in blanket shouldn't feel like holding air, but his hands shake like he's carrying dynamite.
What is
The
it?
porch boards creak under his boots as he shifts his weight, trying to find steady ground in a world that just tilted sideways. The baby stares at him, not the unfocused gaze of newborns he's seen at church christenings. This one looks right through him with pale blue eyes that seem older than the badge pinned to his chest. The infant doesn't cry, doesn't blink, just watches with the patience of something waiting for him to understand.
You out there?
Jesus. The word slips out like a prayer he forgot how to finish. Blood stains the yellow blanket in rust-colored fingerprints. Someone's final touch. The note underneath is folded once, pinned with a brass safety pin that catches the dawn light. His badge number stares back at him in neat pencil script. 247. The same numbers he's worn for 8 years since taking the oath in this same county where his father died and his mother raised him alone until consumption took her too. Thomas pulls the note free with fingers that feel disconnected from his hands. The paper unfolds like it's been waiting for this moment. The handwriting is careful, feminine. Each letter formed with the precision of someone who learned to write properly in better times. Sheriff Cray, this baby belongs with you. Check the birth certificate. I'm sorry for what I done, but I ain't sorry for her. Keep her safe. Keep her away from him. Rebecca. The words swim before his eyes. He reads them again. Then again. The baby makes a soft sound, not quite a coo, not quite a sigh, like she's commenting on his confusion. Who's Rebecca? Little one. His voice sounds strange in the morning air, too loud and too quiet all at once. And what birth certificate? He shifts the basket to one arm and reaches beneath the blanket where something crinkles against his palm. Official paper, thick and cream-colored like the kind used at the courthouse. He unfolds it with the same careful deliberation he uses when handling evidence. State seal at the top. Birth certificate for a female child born 6 months ago. Mother's name, Rebecca Thorne. Father's name written in the same careful script as the note, Thomas Cray. The paper flutters to the porch like a wounded bird. Thomas stares at his own name in black ink, letters that spell out an impossibility. He's never been with a woman named Rebecca, never been with any woman long enough for something like this. The few relationships he'd managed withered under the weight of late-night calls and the haunted look that settled in his eyes after particularly bad cases. That ain't right. He speaks to the baby because there's no one else to hear his voice crack. I'd remember you, wouldn't I? I'd remember her. The infant's gaze never wavers. In the growing daylight, her features become clearer, fine blonde hair like spun wheat. The same stubborn chin his sister Marie always said he inherited from their father. The same pale eyes that looked back at him from mirrors and wanted posters of men who'd lost their way. Thomas lifts the basket closer to his chest. The baby's warmth seeps through the wicker like sunlight through winter windows. She smells like milk and something else. Something wild and desperate, like rain before a storm. Your mama's in trouble, ain't she? The words come easier now. Talking to someone who can't answer back with questions he can't handle. She wouldn't leave you with me if she had a choice. Wouldn't pin my badge number to your blanket like I'm some kind of sanctuary. Footsteps echo from inside the house. Marie's voice carries through the screen door, calling his name with the worried tone she's perfected over the years of being the only family he has left. Thomas, you've been out there 10 minutes. Coffee's getting cold. He looks down at the baby one more time. She's still watching him with those unsettling eyes that seem to know secrets he's forgotten. The birth certificate lies at his feet like evidence of a crime he doesn't remember committing. I don't know who you are, he whispers to the child, but someone thinks I should. Someone thinks you're mine to protect. The baby blinks once, slow and deliberate, like she's sealing a promise between them. Thomas bends to retrieve the birth certificate, folding it carefully and tucking it back beneath the blanket. The basket feels heavier now, weighted with questions that don't have answers and responsibilities he never chose but can't abandon. His badge catches the morning sun as he turns toward the door, the metal warm against his chest like a reminder of oaths taken and duties that extend beyond understanding. Marie calls his name again, closer now. He can hear her footsteps approaching the front door, feel her worry reaching out like hands trying to pull him back into a world that made sense yesterday. But yesterday is gone. In its place sits a baby who shouldn't exist and a name on a birth certificate that rewrites everything he thought he knew about himself. Thomas Cray, sheriff and protector, son and brother. And now, according to official state documents, father to a child born of a woman he's never met. He steps toward the door, carrying his impossible burden into the house where Marie waits with questions he can't answer and coffee that won't wash the taste of fear from his mouth. The screen door slams behind Thomas like a gunshot. Marie looks up from the kitchen table where she's been waiting, coffee cup halfway to her lips. Her eyes lock onto the basket in his arms, and the cup freezes in midair. "Thomas, what's that?" "Baby." "I can see it's a baby." "Why do you have a baby?" Thomas sets the basket on the scarred wooden table between the salt shaker and the stack of unpaid bills. The infant stirs but doesn't cry. Marie's coffee cup clatters against the saucer as she sets it down with shaking hands. Someone left her on the porch. Left her? Who leaves a baby? Someone who can't keep her safe. Marie stands slowly, her chair scraping against the linoleum. She's wearing the same faded blue dress she's worn every morning for 3 years. The one that makes her look older than her 35 years. Her hands hover over the basket like she's afraid to touch something that might disappear. She's so small. 6 months, according to this. Thomas pulls the birth certificate from beneath the blanket. The paper unfolds with a sound like dry leaves. Marie reaches for the baby first. Her maternal instincts override her caution as she lifts the infant from the wicker nest. The child settles against her chest like she belongs there. Tiny fist curling around Marie's finger. "What's her name?" Thomas scans the document. Doesn't say. Just birth date and parents. "Who are the parents?" His throat closes around the words. The certificate trembles in his grip as he reads the names again, hoping the letters will rearrange themselves into something that makes sense. Mother is Rebecca Thorne. Never heard of her. Father is Thomas Cray. The silence stretches between them like a held breath. Marie's face goes white. The baby makes soft cooing sounds against her shoulder, oblivious to the way the world just cracked open. "That's impossible." "That's what I thought." "Thomas, you'd remember if you had a baby." "I'd remember the woman too." Marie sinks back into her chair, still holding the infant. Her eyes search his face like she's looking for lies or madness. Finding neither makes it worse. This is official, state seal and everything. Anyone can fake documents. Why fake this? Why put my name on a stranger's baby? Marie has no answer. The baby turns her head toward Thomas, those pale blue eyes finding his face across the table. The resemblance hits him again, stronger now, in the kitchen light. The stubborn chin. The way her eyebrows furrow when she concentrates. "She looks like you." "Don't." "Thomas, she has your eyes. She has blue eyes. Half the county has blue eyes. Not like yours. Not like Daddy's." Thomas folds the birth certificate and shoves it in his shirt pocket. The paper crackles against his badge. Official documents don't lie, but they don't explain themselves either. There was a note. What kind of note? He pulls out the blood-stained paper. Marie reads it over his shoulder, her breath warm against his neck. Rebecca Thorne. That name sounds familiar. Where? I don't know. Maybe from town. Maybe from the store. The baby starts to fuss. Marie adjusts her position, rocking slightly in the wooden chair that belonged to their mother. The motion comes naturally, like muscle memory from a life she never lived. She's hungry. I don't have baby food. Milk might work, for now. Thomas moves to the icebox while Marie continues rocking. The normalcy of the action feels wrong. Heating milk for a baby who shouldn't exist, whose very presence rewrites the story of his life. What are you going to do? About what? About her. About this. Marie waves the note. About Rebecca Thorne, whoever she is. Find out what's true. And if it is true, if she really is yours. Thomas pours milk into a saucepan. His hands are steady now, focused on the simple task of not burning the milk. Then I failed someone who needed me. You don't fail people, Thomas. I failed Daddy. You were 12 when the mine collapsed. There was nothing you could have done. I could have made him stay home that day. Could have pretended to be sick. The milk starts to warm. Thomas tests it against his wrist, the way he remembers Marie doing when they were children, and she took care of him after their mother died. This baby isn't about Daddy. Everything's about Daddy. The badge, the job, the way people look at me like I'm supposed to have answers. Marie stands, still holding the infant. She moves to the cabinet where they keep the few dishes that survived their mother's funeral and the years of bachelor living that followed. Do we have anything she can drink from? Try the teacup, the small one. She pours milk into the delicate china cup their mother used for special occasions. The baby accepts it eagerly, tiny hands gripping Marie's fingers. She trusts us. She doesn't know any better. Maybe that's enough. Thomas watches his sister feed a baby who might be his daughter. The scene looks right in a way that terrifies him, like puzzle pieces falling into place to reveal a picture he never intended to create. What if Rebecca Thorne comes back? What if she doesn't? What if she's running from something? Someone? Marie looks up from the baby, her eyes sharp with the intelligence she inherited from their father, along with his stubbornness. What if she's running to something? What if leaving this baby with you wasn't desperation? What if it was hope? The milk is finished. The baby settles back against Marie's chest, content and warm. Thomas puts the saucepan in the sink and stares out of the kitchen window at the town beyond their yard, the same streets he's walked for 8 years as sheriff, the same people he's sworn to protect. I need to find her. Rebecca. Anyone who can tell me why my name is on that birth certificate. Marie nods slowly. The baby's eyes drift closed, trusting enough to sleep in the arms of strangers who might be family. What do we do until then? Thomas looks at the infant, so small and vulnerable in his sister's arms. The birth certificate crinkles in his pocket like a whispered secret. We take care of her. Just like that. Just like that. The kitchen fills with the quiet sounds of morning, coffee cooling in forgotten cups, the baby's gentle breathing, the tick of the clock that counted down their father's last days and their mother's final hours. A baby who shouldn't exist sleeps peacefully while 2 adults try to make sense of official documents that rewrite their understanding of truth itself. Marie adjusts the baby against her shoulder, patting her back with gentle circles. The infant burps softly, milk dribbling down Marie's dress. Thomas sits across from them at the kitchen table, turning the birth certificate over in his hands like he's searching for hidden text. Rebecca Thorne. He says the name slowly, each syllable heavy with recognition. You know her. I know that name. Thomas pushes back from the table and walks to the wooden filing cabinet wedged between the icebox and the pantry. His personal files mixed with county business, 8 years of sheriffing compressed into manila folders and loose papers. He pulls out a thick stack of wanted posters, faces of men and women who'd chosen the wrong side of the law. Here, the poster is 6 months old, edges already yellowing. Rebecca Thorne stares back at him from the grainy photograph, dark hair pulled back severe, eyes that could cut glass. Armed and dangerous, suspected in 3 bank robberies across 2 counties. Last seen with the Dalton gang before they scattered after a failed job in Millerville. Marie leans over his shoulder, still holding the baby. That's her. That's her. She doesn't look like a mother. She doesn't look like anything but trouble. Thomas studies the photograph. Rebecca Thorne's face is angular, hardened by choices that leave marks. But there's something else. Something familiar in the set of her jaw, the way she holds her head like she's ready to fight the world. When did she disappear? According to this, 6 months ago, right after the Millerville job went bad. Marie rocks the baby, who's content now, tiny fingers curled around the fabric of Marie's dress. Same time this one was born. Same exact time. The implications settle between them like dust after an explosion. An outlaw gives birth and vanishes. A baby appears on his doorstep with his name on official documents. The timing is too precise to be coincidence. She was pregnant during the robberies? Looks that way. Who robs banks while carrying a baby? Someone desperate, someone with nowhere else to turn. Marie's face softens as she looks down at the infant. The baby sleeps peacefully, unaware that her mother is wanted by every law enforcement officer in 3 counties. What kind of life is that for a child? The kind that ends with a baby on my porch. Hoofbeats approach the house, steady and familiar. Thomas recognizes the rhythm before he sees his deputy Jake Morrison through the kitchen window. Jake rides the same mare every day, a reliable brown horse that matches his reliable brown character. Company, it's Jake. What's he want? Probably wondering why I didn't show up for morning rounds. Jake's boots on the porch steps sound like drum beats. 3 knocks on the door, sharp and official. Thomas folds the wanted poster and slides it back into the stack. Thomas, you in there? Come in, Jake. Jake pushes through the door, hat in his hands, badge bright against his vest. He's 25 and eager, still believes the law is black and white with no gray spaces in between. His eyes sweep the kitchen and stop on Marie holding the baby. Morning, Miss Marie. What's with the baby? Found her on the porch. Found her? Like a stray cat? Like someone left her there. Jake steps closer, his lawman instincts taking over. He's good at reading situations, good at seeing details other people miss. It's why Thomas keeps him as deputy despite his youth. Any idea who? Some. Some idea or some person? Both. Jake pulls out a small notebook, the kind he uses for taking statements and recording evidence. His pencil is already sharpened, ready to turn human drama into official reports. We need to file this proper. Abandoned child, unknown parentage. Parentage isn't unknown. What's that mean? Thomas pulls the birth certificate from his pocket. Jake reads it twice, his face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and something approaching understanding. This is official. State sealed. Thomas, you never mentioned a woman named Rebecca Thorne. I never met a woman named Rebecca Thorne. But your name's right here. My name's right there. Jake looks between Thomas and the baby, searching for resemblances the way people do when trying to place family connections. The baby stirs in Marie's arms, opening those pale blue eyes that seem to see too much. She's got your coloring. Half the county's got my coloring. Not half the county's got a birth certificate with your name on it. Marie stands and walks to the window, still holding the infant. She stares out at Jake's horse, at the dusty road that leads to town, and all the complications waiting there. There's more. More what? Thomas shows Jake the wanted poster. His deputy's whistle is low and appreciative, the sound of a lawman recognizing a significant break in a case. Rebecca Thorne, I remember this one. Dalton gang, right? Right. She disappeared after Millerville. 6 months ago. Same time as... Jake looks at the baby, understanding dawning across his young face. Same time. Son of a bitch. Language, Jake. Sorry, Miss Marie, but this is complicated. Marie turns from the window, the baby quiet against her shoulder. How complicated? If she's wanted for bank robbery, Dre. And if this baby belongs to Thomas, then we've got a situation. Legal situation. Thomas feels the weight of his badge like a stone in his chest. 8 years of upholding the law, and now the law conflicts with something deeper, something that might be responsibility, or might be love, or might be both. What kind of legal situation? Evidence. If the baby's connected to Rebecca Thorne, she might be evidence in a federal case. She's a baby. Not evidence. She's both. Marie's grip tightens on the infant. The protective instinct is immediate and fierce, the same look she'd worn when protecting Thomas from bullies after their father died. Nobody's taking this baby anywhere. Miss Marie, I understand how you feel, but if she's connected to bank robbery, she's connected to Thomas. That's all that matters. Jake closes his notebook and slides it back into his pocket. His face carries the burden of a young man trying to balance duty with humanity. I have to report this. To who? County Sheriff's Office. Maybe federal marshals. I am the county sheriff's office. Thomas, you can't investigate your own case. What case? A baby appeared on my porch. A baby whose mother is wanted for armed robbery. The kitchen falls silent, except for the baby's gentle breathing and the tick of the clock that's count time through 3 generations of Cray family crises. Thomas looks at Jake, seeing himself 8 years ago, when the badge was new and the world seemed simpler. Give me 24 hours. For what? To figure out what's true. And if I don't, then you do what you think is right. Jake nods slowly, understanding passing between them like a shared secret. He puts his hat back on and heads for the door. 24 hours, Thomas. 24 hours. The door closes behind Jake with the sound of time running out. Jake stops with his hand on the door handle, his shoulders tense like he's carrying weight he can't set down. He turns back to face Thomas, his young face showing the strain of divided loyalties. There's something else you should know. What else? About Rebecca Thorne, where she was last seen. Thomas feels the familiar chill that comes before bad news. The same feeling he'd gotten the morning they found his father's body in the collapsed mine shaft. Where? Near the old copper mine, the Bradley mine. Marie's intake of breath is sharp. The baby stirs in her arms, sensing the tension that just filled the room like smoke. That mine's been closed for 15 years. Since your daddy died. Since the cave-in, yeah. Jake shifts his weight, his badge catching the kitchen light. According to the last report, Rebecca Thorne was seen camping near the old entrance, day before she disappeared. The silence stretches between them like a held scream. Thomas sees his father's face in his memory, the way he'd looked that last morning when he left for work. Tired, worried about something he wouldn't share. Why would she go there? Don't know. Place is dangerous. Half the tunnels are flooded. Other half are ready to collapse. Perfect place to hide. Or perfect place to die. Marie rocks the baby, her movements sharp with agitation. That mine killed enough people already. Daddy wasn't the only one. 3 men died in that cave-in. 3 families destroyed because Governor Bradley cut corners on safety. Jake nods grimly. Same Governor Bradley who owns half this county. Same one who made sure no charges were ever filed. The baby makes soft sounds against Marie's chest. Outside, another horse approaches, hoofbeats lighter and faster than Jake's steady mare. Thomas moves to the window and sees a rider he recognizes. White horse, expensive tack, riding with the confidence that comes from never doubting your place in the world. Company again. Who now? Lily Bradley. Jake's eyebrows rise. Governor's daughter. What's she want? About to find out. Lily Bradley dismounts her horse with practiced grace. She's 28, educated back east, but she rides like she was born in the saddle. Her dark hair is pinned up proper, her dress expensive but practical. She carries herself with the bearing of someone who expects doors to open before she knocks. Sheriff Cray, may I come in? Thomas opens the door before she reaches the porch. Lily's eyes sweep the kitchen, taking in Jake's presence, Marie holding the baby, the wanted posters still scattered on the table. Miss Bradley, what brings you out here? I heard about your visitor. News travels fast. Small town. May I sit? Thomas gestures to his father's chair. Lily settles into it like she belongs, but her eyes keep drifting to the baby in Marie's arms. I have information about Rebecca Thorne. What kind of information? The kind that might save her life. Jake steps forward, his deputy instincts engaged. Miss Bradley, Rebecca Thorne is wanted for bank robbery. I'm aware of what she's wanted for. Then you know we have a duty to apprehend her. I know you have a duty to the truth. Thomas studies Lily's face, looking for tells the way he would with any suspect. She's nervous but not afraid, determined but not desperate. Whatever she knows, she believes it matters. What's your connection to Rebecca Thorne? She worked in town before she joined the Dalton gang. Doing what? Seamstress work. Alterations. Mending. Marie shifts the baby to her other arm. I don't remember any seamstress named Rebecca. She used a different name then, Rebecca Smith. Lot of Smiths in the world. This one lived in the boarding house on Church Street. Your mother's old boarding house. The words hit Thomas like cold water. His mother had run a boarding house for working women until consumption took her strength. He'd been 16 when she died. 17 when they sold the building to pay for her funeral. My mother died 8 years ago. Rebecca lived there before that. She was pregnant then too. Pregnant with who? Lily's hands twist in her lap, fingers working at invisible knots. May I hold the baby? Marie's protective instincts flare. Why? Please. There's something in Lily's voice, a quality that cuts through pretense and social niceties. Marie looks to Thomas for guidance. He nods once, trusting his instincts about people the way his father taught him. Marie transfers the infant carefully. Lily receives the baby with hands that shake like autumn leaves. The moment the child settles in her arms, something changes in Lily's face. Recognition, wonder, fear. Dear God. What? She has his eyes. Whose eyes? Thomas, she has your father's eyes. The kitchen tilts around Thomas like the world just shifted on its axis. His father's eyes were pale blue, distinctive in a family of brown-eyed ancestors, the same eyes that looked back at Thomas from mirrors and now from the face of an infant who shouldn't exist. That's impossible. Look at her, Thomas. Really look. He does. The baby stares up at Lily with curious attention, tiny features soft but unmistakably familiar, the stubborn chin, the way her eyebrows furrow when concentrating, the pale blue eyes that seem older than her 6 months. She looks like you did as a baby. Marie, don't. I remember. Mama showed me pictures. Jake steps closer, studying the infant with the careful attention of someone trying to solve a puzzle. Miss Bradley, what are you saying? I'm saying this baby is family. Thomas's family. But not his daughter. No, not his daughter. The silence that follows is heavy with implications none of them want to voice. Thomas feels the ground shifting beneath his feet. The same sensation he'd felt 15 years ago when they told him his father was never coming home. Then whose daughter? Lily's voice drops to a whisper. Your sister's. I don't have another sister. You did once. Marie's face goes white. Lily, what are you talking about? The baby Rebecca had 15 years ago. The one she gave up because she couldn't care for her. Rebecca Thorne isn't old enough to have had a baby 15 years ago. She was 13, too young to be a mother. Too scared to tell anyone who the father was. Thomas feels like he's drowning in shallow water. Who was the father? Lily's hands shake as she holds the baby. Tears track down her cheeks like rain on window glass. My father, Governor Bradley. The words fall into the kitchen like stones into still water, sending ripples through everything Thomas thought he knew about his family, his town, his life. Your father raped a 13-year-old girl. My father has raped many girls. Rebecca wasn't the first. She won't be the last. Jake's hand drops to his gun, instinct overriding protocol. Miss Bradley, that's a serious accusation. It's not an accusation, it's a confession. Whose confession? Mine. I've been covering for him my whole life. The baby reaches up from Lily's arms, tiny fingers grasping at Thomas's face. Her touch is warm and trusting, the innocent contact of someone who doesn't understand the darkness swirling around her existence. So, this baby is your sister's granddaughter. Rebecca Thorne is the daughter you never knew you had. Thomas staggers backward, his legs hitting the kitchen counter. The baby he thought might be his daughter is actually his granddaughter. The outlaw he's been hunting is the sister who was stolen from his family before he knew she existed. Marie makes a sound like wounded animal. Mama never said. Your mama never knew. Rebecca was adopted out through the church. Different name, different family. Until she came back. Until she came back looking for answers about her birth father. And found Governor Bradley instead. Lily nods, still holding the baby who carries the blood of victim and perpetrator, innocence and corruption, hope and despair. She found him, and he tried to kill her for it. The baby makes soft cooing sounds in Lily's arms, oblivious to the weight of secrets crushing the air from the kitchen. Thomas grips the counter edge, his knuckles white against the scarred wood where his mother used to roll biscuits every Sunday morning. She tried to kill her because she knew the truth about her birth. Because she threatened to expose him. Rebecca came back asking questions about her real parents. And you helped her. I gave her work, seamstress jobs, mending, alterations. She was good with her hands. Marie paces the small kitchen, her footsteps sharp against the worn linoleum. Why didn't she use her real name? Would you use your real name if you were hiding from the man who destroyed your childhood? Jake pulls out his notebook again, then thinks better of it and puts it away. Some truths are too raw for official reports. How long did she work in town? 6 months. She lived at the boarding house on Church Street. Thomas feels something twist in his chest. My mother's boarding house. Your mother was kind to her, asked no questions, demanded no explanations. Mama always helped girls who needed help. Rebecca needed more help than most. Lily adjusts the baby, who's starting to fuss. The infant's cry is thin and desperate. The sound of someone who's already learned the world isn't safe. She's hungry again. I'll heat more milk. Marie moves to the stove, her actions automatic. Thomas watches his sister's face, seeing the same protective instinct that's driven her to care for him since their mother died. There's more you haven't told us. Yes, about my mother. Lily's silence confirms what Thomas already knows. Another secret, Another truth buried under years of careful forgetting. What about Mama? She died in childbirth. I know that. I was there. No, Thomas, you weren't. The words hit him like cold water. Thomas searches his memory for images of his mother's death, finding only fragments, pieces of a picture that doesn't quite fit together. I remember the funeral. You remember a funeral. What's that supposed to mean? Marie turns from the stove, milk warming in the small saucepan. Her face carries the weight of someone who's carried secrets too long. Thomas, how old do you think you were when Mama died? 16. I was 16. You were 12. The number lands wrong in his head. 12 feels too young, too distant. But when he tries to place specific memories, they blur at the edges like watercolors in rain. That doesn't make sense. Mama died giving birth to your baby brother. The kitchen spins around Thomas like he's falling through still air. Baby brother. Words that should mean something but feel foreign in his mind. I don't have a brother. You did. What happened to him? Marie pours warm milk into the small teacup, her hands steady despite the tremor in her voice. He died too, same night Mama did. Why don't I remember? Because you chose not to. Lily shifts the baby, who's crying harder now. The sound fills the small space, urgent and demanding. Marie tests the milk temperature and brings the cup to Lily. Doctor said it sometimes happens when children see things too terrible to carry. What things? Your mama bleeding to death. Your baby brother too small to breathe. Thomas grabs the back of a chair, needing something solid to hold on to. Images flash in his memory like lightning, blood on white sheets. His mother's face, peaceful in a way she'd never been in life. Something small and blue wrapped in his father's work shirt. I remember. What do you remember? The baby. He looked like... Thomas stops, his eyes finding the infant in Lily's arms. The pale blue eyes, the stubborn chin, the way her eyebrows furrow when she concentrates. He looked like her. Like who? Like this baby. Marie brings the teacup to Lily, who manages to coax the infant to drink despite her tiny, desperate cries. The baby calms as warm milk fills her stomach, trusting these strangers to meet her needs. Thomas, sit down. I'm fine. You're white as a sheet. Jake moves closer, his deputy instincts recognizing someone in distress. Thomas, what else do you remember? Papa crying. I'd never seen him cry before. What else? He buried them together, Mama and the baby, said they should stay together. The memories come faster now, like water through a broken dam. His father digging in the family plot behind the church, the small wooden box that held his mother and brother, the way his father's shoulders shook as he filled in the grave. Where are the photographs? What photographs? Mama kept photographs of all of us, baby pictures, family pictures. Marie and Lily exchange glances over the baby's head, the kind of look that passes between people who share dangerous knowledge. They're in the trunk upstairs. Show me. Thomas, maybe you should sit first. Show me the photographs. Marie hands the milk cup to Jake and leads the way up the narrow stairs to the second floor. The house creaks under their weight, old wood settling into patterns worn by 3 generations of Cray family footsteps. The trunk sits in the corner of Marie's room, under the window that faces the family cemetery. Thomas hasn't opened it since their mother's funeral, hasn't wanted to disturb the careful arrangement of memories inside. Marie lifts the lid with the reverence reserved for sacred things. Inside are layers of carefully folded documents, letters, and a thick album bound in worn leather. Here, she hands him the photograph album. Thomas opens it to the first page, seeing his parents on their wedding day, young and hopeful, dressed in their best clothes, believing in futures that would never come to pass. He turns pages slowly, baby pictures of himself, chubby and serious in long white christening gowns. Family portraits taken at church functions, his mother's hand always resting protectively on his shoulder. Then he finds them, pictures he doesn't remember seeing. Pictures of himself as a child, maybe 4 or 5, holding something small and wrapped in blankets. That's your brother. Thomas stares at the photograph. The baby in his arms has the same pale blue eyes as the infant downstairs, the same stubborn chin, the same way of looking directly at the camera like he's seeing something the rest of them missed. He looks exactly like Like the baby Rebecca left. Like me when I was that age. Like your father, too. Thomas turns more pages, finding photographs of his mother pregnant, her hand resting on her swollen belly. His father standing beside her, protective and proud. Pictures that should have been celebrations but feel like evidence of coming tragedy. Why didn't anyone tell me? You were 12, Thomas. You'd just lost your mama and your baby brother in one night. That doesn't explain 30 years of silence. Your papa thought it was better, thought you'd suffered enough. So he let me forget I had a brother. He let you heal the only way you knew how. Jake's voice carries up the stairs from the kitchen below. Thomas, you need to see this. They return to find Jake holding the baby while Lily paces by the window. The infant sleeps peacefully in his arms, tiny fist curled around his finger. What is it? Miss Bradley was just telling me about the night Rebecca disappeared. What about it? Lily stops pacing, her face pale with the effort of confession. She came to see me. The night she vanished. Why? She'd found something at the mine, something that proved my father killed yours. The words hit Thomas like physical blows. His father's death, which he'd accepted as mining accident, reframes itself as murder. What kind of something? Documents, safety reports my father buried, reports that showed he knew the mine was unstable. Why would he keep evidence of his own crime? Insurance, blackmail material. My father keeps records of everything. Thomas feels the last pieces of his understanding crumble. His father murdered, his brother erased from memory, his sister returned as an outlaw carrying the next generation of victims. Where is Rebecca now? I don't know. She left that night with the evidence, said she was going to make my father pay. Is she alive? I hope so. Why? Because if she's dead, that baby is the only witness left. The infant stirs in Jake's arms, opening those pale blue eyes that carry the weight of 3 generations of secrets. She looks directly at Thomas, and for a moment he sees himself as a child, holding his baby brother in the same protective embrace. The past and present collapse into each other. The baby he thought was his daughter, then his granddaughter, now reveals herself as something more complex, the living embodiment of everything his family lost and everything they might still save. She's not just Rebecca's baby. No, she's the evidence, living proof of what your father did to this family. Lily nods, tears streaming down her face. And now she's home where she belongs. The baby sleeps in Jake's arms while the weight of revelation settles over the kitchen like dust after an explosion. Thomas stares at the photograph album, seeing his childhood rewritten in every image. His brother who died, his father who was murdered, his sister who became an outlaw. Marie stands by the sink, her back rigid with the tension of someone preparing for battle. Her hands grip the counter edge, knuckles white against the worn wood. There's more. More what? More truth. More lies I've been carrying. Thomas looks up from the photographs. What else could there be? Everything else. Lily moves closer to Marie, recognizing the signs of someone about to shatter. Marie, you don't have to. Yes, I do. 30 years is long enough. Jake shifts the baby carefully, his young face serious with the weight of secrets he's witnessing. Miss Marie, maybe we should... No more maybe. No more protecting people from the truth. Marie turns to face them, tears streaming down her cheeks. In the kitchen light, Thomas can see lines around her eyes he's never noticed before. The weight of years, of lies, of sacrifices he's never understood. I'm not your sister, Thomas. What? I'm not your sister. I never was. The words hit him like cold water. Thomas stands slowly, the photograph album sliding from his lap to the floor. Pictures scatter across the linoleum. Faces of strangers who used to be family. That's impossible. Look at me. Really look at me. Thomas does. Marie's face, worn by years of worry and responsibility, the same pale blue eyes, the same stubborn chin. Features he'd attributed to family resemblance now rearrange themselves into something else entirely. You're 35. I'm 52. Marie, I'm your mother, Thomas. The kitchen tilts around him. 52. The math works in ways that terrify him. Marie, who he's called sister his entire life, standing before him with a mother's protective stance and a mother's broken heart. The woman who died, giving birth, was my mother, your grandmother. Then who? Who raised you? Who taught you right from wrong? Who stayed awake when you had nightmares about the mine collapse? Thomas can't breathe. Every memory reshapes itself. Marie bandaging his scraped knees. Marie teaching him to read. Marie holding him when their father died. Her tears mixing with his in the darkness of grief. Why? I was 17 when you were born, unmarried, pregnant by a boy who ran off the day I told him. But Papa was a good man who saw his daughter ruined and his grandson needing a father. So we became siblings, you and me, raised by the woman you called Mama. Lily sinks into a chair, understanding flooding her face. The boarding house. That's why your mother helped girls who needed help. Because she knew what it meant to have nowhere else to turn. Jake rocks the baby gently, his voice soft with wonder. Miss Marie, that means Rebecca is my daughter too. The final piece falls into place with the weight of absolute truth. Thomas staggers backward, his legs hitting the kitchen counter. Rebecca Thorne, outlaw and bank robber, is his sister. The baby in Jake's arms is his niece. When? I was 26, trying to make a life for myself and you. Met a man who said he loved me. Governor Bradley. He was just Bradley then, young, handsome, promising to marry me. Thomas feels sick. The pattern of Bradley's violence stretching across generations, destroying women and children with casual cruelty. He raped you. He lied to me. Said he'd leave his wife. Said we'd be a family. But you were already family. You and me. I was a fool who believed pretty words from a powerful man. Marie wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. The gesture so familiar, Thomas realizes he's seen it 1,000 times. A mother comforting herself because no one else could. What happened to Rebecca? I gave her up. Thought she'd have a better life with proper parents. Instead, she found Bradley. Instead, she found the truth about her birth father and came looking for her real family. Lily stands and moves to the window, staring out at the road that leads to town and all the corruption waiting there. That's when she started asking questions. Questions that led to answers Bradley couldn't allow. Thomas tries to piece together the timeline. She worked as a seamstress. Lived in Mama's boarding house. Lived in her grandmother's boarding house, the same room where I raised you after you were born. She knew who you were. She figured it out. Smart girl. Too smart for her own good. The baby stirs in Jake's arms, making soft, cooing sounds. Thomas looks at her with new eyes. Not his daughter, not even his granddaughter, his niece. His sister's child, carrying the blood of victims and survivors. Why did she put my name on the birth certificate? Marie's voice breaks. Because you were the only family she trusted to keep her baby safe. But I'm not the father. You're her brother, your family. That's what mattered to her. Where is she now? Dead. The word falls into the kitchen like a stone into still water. Final. Absolute. Beyond appeal or negotiation. How do you know? Because Lily told me 3 days ago. Thomas turns to face Lily, seeing guilt and grief written across her features. You knew Rebecca was dead. My father's men found her at the mine. She had the evidence about your father's murder. What evidence? Safety reports, payoff records, proof that he knew the mine would collapse and sent workers in anyway. Jake's voice is tight with controlled anger, including Thomas's father, including his father. So Bradley had her killed. There was a shootout. Rebecca was wounded. Died 2 days later in a cave near the mine entrance. Thomas feels something break inside his chest. The sister he never knew he had, dead before he could save her, before he could know her, before he could apologize for 30 years of believing she didn't exist. The baby was with her. Rebecca gave birth during the shootout. Used her last strength to get the baby away from my father's men. And brought her here. She died bringing her here. Marie moves to Jake and gently takes the infant from his arms. The baby settles against her chest with complete trust, recognizing something deeper than familiarity. This is my granddaughter. Your third child. My second chance. Thomas watches Marie hold the baby, seeing the natural way they fit together. Grandmother and granddaughter. The continuation of a family line that Bradley's violence tried to end. What do we do now? We protect her. From Bradley? From everyone who would use her or hurt her or make her pay for her mother's courage. Jake checks his pocket watch, the gesture automatic. Thomas, my 24 hours are almost up. I know. I have to report this. Report what? A baby abandoned on a sheriff's porch. A baby whose mother was wanted for bank robbery. Lily turns from the window, her face set with decision. Rebecca wasn't a bank robber. The wanted posters say different. The wanted posters are lies. My father framed her for crimes his men committed. Can you prove that? With the evidence Rebecca died getting. Evidence that's hidden where only I know how to find it. Thomas looks at his mother, who he called sister for 30 years, at his niece, who he thought was his daughter, at the woman whose father destroyed their family and is still trying to destroy what's left. Then let's go find it. Thomas, that's dangerous. Everything about this is dangerous. But we're family, and family protects each other. Marie rocks the baby, her voice soft with the authority of someone who's carried secrets too long. Rebecca died to bring her baby home to us. We're not going to waste that sacrifice, even if it means going against Bradley, especially if it means going against Bradley. The baby opens her eyes and looks directly at Thomas. In her gaze, he sees his sister's courage, his mother's determination, and his father's stubborn refusal to back down from what's right. Then let's finish what Rebecca started. The sound of approaching horses cuts through the morning air like thunder before a storm. Thomas moves to the window, counting riders. 6 men, armed and riding with the purposeful pace of those who've come to collect what they believe belongs to them. It's Bradley. How many men? Too many. Marie clutches the baby closer to her chest, maternal instinct overriding everything else. The infant sleeps peacefully, unaware that her very existence threatens the powerful men riding toward their door. They can't have her. They're not going to ask permission. Jake checks his sidearm, his young face grim with the reality of what's coming. Thomas, we're outgunned. We're not giving up that baby. Lily moves away from the window, positioning herself between the door and Marie. Her face carries the determination of someone who's finally chosen a side after years of fence-sitting. Let me handle my father. Lily, he's not here for negotiation. I know exactly why he's here. The riders slow as they approach the house, hoofbeats shifting from gallop to walk to stop. Governor Bradley's voice carries across the yard, commanding and expectant. Thomas Cray, bring out the baby. Thomas opens the door but doesn't step outside. Bradley sits his horse like a king addressing peasants, his expensive suit and polished boots marking him as different from the working men who surround him. Governor Bradley, what brings you to my home? You know why I'm here. That child is evidence in a federal crime. What federal crime? Bank robbery, murder, conspiracy. Thomas feels the familiar weight of his badge, the responsibility it carries, and the limitations it imposes. The baby's 6 months old. Hard to charge an infant with bank robbery. The baby belongs to Rebecca Thorne. That makes her evidence. Evidence of what? Of crimes committed by her mother. Jake appears beside Thomas, his hand resting on his gun butt. Governor, with respect, that baby's not evidence. She's a child. She's property of the state, pending investigation. Bradley's men shift in their saddles, hands moving toward weapons. The morning air grows thick with the tension of confrontation barely held in check. Nobody's taking that baby anywhere. Sheriff, you're interfering with federal business. Whose federal business? You got federal marshals with you. Bradley's smile is cold as winter creek water. I have the authority of the territorial governor. That's federal enough. Lily steps through the door, moving past Thomas to stand at the edge of the porch. Her father's face changes when he sees her, surprise mixing with disappointment and something darker. Lily, what are you doing here? Protecting what's right. Get in the carriage. We'll discuss this at home. I'm not going home with you. You're my daughter. You'll do as I say. I'm not your daughter anymore. The words hang in the air like smoke from a fire that can't be put out. Bradley's face hardens, the mask of paternal concern slipping to reveal the calculating politician beneath. Don't be dramatic, Lily. Don't be a murderer, father. Watch your tongue. Or what? You'll kill me too. Bradley's men exchange glances, uncertainty creeping into their postures. Whatever they expected, it wasn't the governor's daughter publicly accusing him of murder. Lily, you're overwrought. I'm telling the truth. Finally, Thomas steps beside Lily, feeling the shift in power dynamics. What truth, Lily? The truth about Rebecca Thorne, about why my father really wanted her dead. She was a bank robber. She was a witness. Bradley's horse sidesteps nervously, sensing its rider's agitation. Lily, get inside, now. A witness to murder. Whose murder? Lily's voice carries across the yard, clear and strong. Jacob Cray's murder, Thomas's father. The silence that follows is absolute. Even the horses stand still, as if the very air has thickened around them. Thomas feels the world tilt on its axis for the second time in as many hours. My father died in a mine collapse. Your father was murdered by mine, in the tunnel, with his own pickaxe. Bradley's face goes white. Lily, shut your mouth, because he found out about the safety violations, about the bribes, about the workers you sent to die for profit. That's enough. Rebecca saw it happen. She was there, in the mine, hiding because she'd heard about her real parentage and wanted to confront you. Thomas draws his gun, the weight familiar in his hand. You killed my father. Your father was going to destroy me, ruin everything I'd built. So you murdered him. I defended myself, defended my family's future. Jake moves to Thomas's left, creating a crossfire position. And then you covered it up. I protected what mattered. Lily steps forward, her voice rising with 30 years of suppressed rage. You protected your money, your power, your precious political career. Everything I did was for you, for our family. You destroyed families. You raped women. You murdered innocent men. Bradley raises his hand as if to strike his daughter. Thomas's gun comes up, sighted center mass on the governor's chest. Touch her and die. Sheriff, you're making a mistake. The only mistake I made was not knowing the truth sooner. Marie appears in the doorway, still holding the baby. Her face is set with the determination of someone who's watched evil destroy everything she loves. That baby is the last thing Rebecca gave this world, the last piece of my daughter. Your daughter was a criminal. Your daughter was a victim. Bradley's men look increasingly uncomfortable. Whatever they signed up for, it wasn't executing women and children in front of the territorial governor. Governor, maybe you should what? Let them harbor evidence. Let them obstruct justice. What justice? Lily's voice cuts through her father's bluster like a blade through silk. You've never served justice in your life. I've served this territory for 20 years. You've served yourself for 20 years. Thomas keeps his gun trained on Bradley while addressing the mounted men. Any of you boys have children? Murmurs of assent from several riders. Thomas nods toward Marie and the baby. Look at that child, 6 months old, never hurt anyone. Never committed a crime. You really want to shoot a baby because your boss is scared of what she represents? One of the riders, a young man with honest eyes, lowers his weapon. Governor, this doesn't feel right. I'm not paying you to feel. I'm paying you to follow orders. We're not killers. You are what I say you are. Lily pulls a folded paper from her dress pocket, holding it high enough for everyone to see. This is a confession written by Rebecca before she died. Every crime, every murder, every rape, all signed and witnessed. Bradley's face goes from white to gray. That's impossible. She lived long enough to write it all down. Every detail about Jacob Cray's murder, every woman you violated, every worker you sent to die. Where did you get that? From Rebecca's hiding place, the same place she hid the evidence that proves everything. Thomas feels pieces clicking together like gears in a well-made watch. That's why you really wanted her dead. Not for bank robbery, for what she knew about you. She was going to destroy everything. She was going to expose the truth. The truth doesn't matter. Only power matters. Lily steps closer to her father's horse, her voice carrying the authority of someone who's finally found her courage. The truth is all that matters, and this baby is living proof of your crimes. She's proof of nothing. She's proof that your victims survived, that they fought back, that they made something good from something evil. Bradley reaches for his gun, desperation overriding calculation. Thomas's shot takes him center mass, dropping him from his horse like a sack of grain. The governor hits the ground hard, blood spreading across his expensive shirt. The remaining riders scatter, suddenly remembering urgent business elsewhere. Only the young, honest-eyed man remains, dismounting to kneel beside his dying employer. Governor, can you hear me? Bradley's eyes find Lily's face, seeing his daughter looking down at him without sorrow or forgiveness. Lily, Goodbye, Father. The governor dies with his daughter's judgment as his final sight. Thomas holsters his weapon, feeling the weight of justice finally served. The baby wakes in Marie's arms, opening those pale blue eyes to look at the world that's suddenly safer for her existence. Bradley's blood seeps into the dust of the yard, dark red against dry earth. The horses stamp nervously, sensing death in the air. Thomas keeps his gun drawn, watching the remaining rider who kneels beside his dead employer. "What's your name, son?" "Charlie Moss, Sheriff." "You know what your boss was?" Charlie looks down at Bradley's body, then back at Thomas. "I'm starting to figure it out." "You going to cause us trouble?" "No, sir. I got a daughter at home. Wouldn't feel right taking money from a man who hurt children." Jake moves to check Bradley's pulse, confirming what they all know. He's dead. Good. The word comes from Marie, spoken with the finality of someone who's carried grief too long. She rocks the baby gently, her eyes fixed on the man who destroyed her family. "Mama, don't. He killed your father. He raped me. He drove Rebecca to her death. Good doesn't begin to cover what he deserved." Lily stares at her father's body without tears. Her face shows relief, more than sorrow. Like someone finally freed from a burden they've carried their entire life. What happens now? Now we tell the truth. Thomas holsters his weapon and moves to where Lily stands. The confession she pulled from her dress pocket is still clutched in her hand. Rebecca's final testimony against the man who destroyed so many lives. That confession real. Every word. Rebecca wrote it the night before she died. What else do you have? Bank records, safety reports, names of women he attacked, payoff receipts for judges and marshals. Where? Hidden in the old mine, the same place where he killed your father. Charlie Moss stands slowly, his hat in his hands. "Sheriff, I should tell you something." "What?" "The other boys that rode with us today. They knew this wasn't right. Some of them got daughters, wives. They won't cause trouble." "What about Bradley's other men? The ones who weren't here?" "Most were hired guns. No loyalty once the money stops." Thomas nods, understanding the practical realities of power built on fear and greed. With Bradley dead, his empire would collapse like a house built on sand. "You willing to testify about what you saw here today?" "Yes, sir. Self-defense, clear as day." He drew first. Jake moves to Thomas's side, his young face serious with the weight of what they've witnessed. "We'll need to inform the territorial authorities." "About Bradley's death?" "About everything. The corruption, the murders, all of it." Lily steps forward, still holding Rebecca's confession. "I have enough evidence to bring down half the territory's government." That's a lot of powerful men. They're only powerful because people are afraid to speak against them. Marie adjusts the baby in her arms, looking at the three adults who represent different generations of the same fight. Fear ends when truth comes to light. "What about the baby?" Thomas looks at his niece, seeing in her face the future his family almost lost. "She stays with us, where she belongs." The federal authorities might have questions. Let them ask. She's family. Charlie mounts his horse, eager to distance himself from his dead employer. "Sheriff, if you need a witness to what happened here, you know where to find me." "Charlie." "Yes, sir?" "Tell anyone who asks that Governor Bradley died committing a crime. That should satisfy their curiosity." Charlie touches his hat and rides away, leaving the family to deal with the aftermath of justice finally served. Thomas looks at Marie, seeing her clearly for the first time in 30 years. "I should have known." "Known what?" "That you were my mother. All those years, all those times you took care of me. You were my son. That never changed, no matter what we called each other." "Why keep the lie so long?" Marie's voice breaks slightly. "Because I was 17 and scared and thought pretending would make it hurt less." "Did it?" "No. It made everything hurt more." Thomas moves closer to Marie and the baby, studying the infant who represents hope born from tragedy. "What do we tell her about her mother?" "The truth, that Rebecca died protecting her." "And about Bradley?" "That evil doesn't win forever." Lily walks to her father's body, staring down at the man who shaped her life through fear and violence. "I need to go to town. File charges against his associates, expose everything he did." "That's dangerous." "Everything about this has been dangerous. But it's the right thing to do." Jake checks his pocket watch. a gesture that's become automatic during the longest day of his young career. Thomas, we should move Bradley's body. Questions will be asked. Let them ask. He died attacking a lawman in the execution of his duties. What duties? Protecting a child from kidnappers. The simplicity of the truth makes everything else seem complicated by comparison. Bradley died because he tried to take an innocent child. Everything else, all the politics and corruption and generational violence, fades beside that basic fact. The baby needs proper care. She'll get it. Marie looks at Thomas with the expression of someone who's finally allowed to show her true feelings. I've been waiting 30 years to raise another child properly. Another child? I failed Rebecca. Let her grow up thinking she was unwanted, unloved. You were protecting her. I was protecting myself. There's a difference. Thomas understands the weight of regret. The way it can crush a person under the burden of choices that seemed right at the time but feel wrong in hindsight. What about now? Now we do better. The baby wakes in Marie's arms, those pale blue eyes focusing on Thomas with the trusting gaze of someone too young to understand danger. He extends his finger, and she grips it with tiny hands that carry the strength of 3 generations. She's going to need a name. Rebecca never gave her one. She was too busy keeping her alive. Lily moves away from her father's body, joining the family circle around the infant. What about Hope? Hope, for what she represents, what her mother died believing in. Marie considers this, testing the name against the weight of everything they've survived. Hope Cray. Hope Cray, Thomas repeats, and the name fits like it was always meant to be. Jake organizes the practical details of dealing with Bradley's death while the family begins to plan for the future they never thought they'd have. The evidence, Lily promises, will reshape the territory's government, exposing corruption that reaches into every level of power. What about you, Lily? What about me? You're Bradley's heir, his property, his money. Blood money. I don't want any of it. What will you do? Help rebuild what he destroyed, starting with this town. The sun climbs higher, burning off the morning mist and illuminating the yard where justice finally caught up with a man who thought himself above consequences. Bradley's body lies still in the dust while his victims plan for a future free from his shadow. Thomas? Yes? Marie's voice carries the authority of someone who's finally allowed to claim her true role. I'm proud of you, of the man you became. Despite everything, because of everything. You grew up to be exactly who your father would have wanted you to be. A lawman. A protector, someone who stands between the innocent and those who would hurt them. Thomas looks at the baby in Marie's arms, understanding finally settling into his bones like warmth after cold. Not his daughter, but his responsibility. Not his burden, but his blessing. We'll raise her together. The 3 of us, however many it takes. Lily smiles for the first time since arriving at the house, her face transformed by the possibility of redemption. 4 of us. I'm not going anywhere. You sure about that? My father spent 30 years destroying families. I'm going to spend the rest of my life helping them heal. The baby makes soft cooing sounds, content in the arms of people who understand finally what family means. Not the relationships defined by law or blood alone, but the bonds forged by choice and strengthened by sacrifice. What do we do first? We bury the dead. Bradley, your father, your daughter, all the people who deserved better than they got. Thomas nods, understanding that some debts can only be paid with honor, with memory, with the promise to do better for those who come after. And then we live, we raise hope, we build something good from all this pain. The baby sleeps peacefully as the family makes plans around her, their voices carrying across the yard where yesterday's violence has given way to tomorrow's hope. The sun climbs toward noon, burning away shadows that have lingered too long over a family finally allowed to come home to itself. In the distance, Charlie Moss rides toward town with news that will reshape everything. Behind him, 4 people stand in a circle around an infant who represents the future they almost lost and the hope they refuse to surrender. The baby opens her eyes one more time, looking at the faces surrounding her with the trust of someone who knows she's finally safe. In her gaze, Thomas sees his father's courage, his mother's strength, and his sister's determination to fight for what's right. Hope Cray. The name carries weight and promise in equal measure. A new beginning born from old pain. A family reunited by truth after decades of necessary lies. The confrontation is over. The healing can finally begin.